It's so nice to have you here tonight. My name is Shannon Bailey, and I'm the chief curator here at the World Chess Hall of Fame. I know Tony had a chance to welcome you all, but it's great, again, to have all of you very generous donors here tonight. This September, we marked our 5th anniversary here in St. Louis, and since that time period, we have had 24 exhibitions. We've had an amazing music series where we've had over 150 musicians. We've featured over 80 artists. We have incredible children's programming, and we host every World and U.S. Chess Hall of Fame induction, and you are looking at their incredible plaques here in this room tonight. And in 5 years, we've had 60,000 visitors at the World Chess Hall of Fame alone. It's amazing. From every state in the United States, and I think at last count, maybe 20 different international countries. Like the Chess Club, we wouldn't be this successful, again, without you donors here tonight. So it's just an honor to have you here in our building, on our chess campus, to see all the great work that we do with your generous support. We want to thank you again for helping us all create our mission here at the Chess Campus, and please enjoy your evening, your dinner, and the great program that we have following dinner. Thank you.
If I could please get everybody's attention. I know that you're all finishing up your wonderful dessert. How about the food here? How good was that? That was terrific. I know everybody here is having a good time, and we've got some fun things ahead of us here. I just want to have my official welcome. I'm Rick Horton. You heard my name earlier. I have the joy of being a Cardinals broadcaster, but I'm excited to be here tonight. I know this is a great celebration of chess, and certainly exciting to be here in the World Chess Hall of Fame. I know as members of the Caissa Club, this is a great tribute to you all as well. For the great contributions you've made to this campus, and it's really a special thing, special place. I know you all are connecting very well, and we're going to do some fun things here tonight. We're going to see some chess, and we're also going to get a chance to chat with Rex and the Cardinal manager, Mike Matheny, so a lot of fun things ahead. I know I've had a chance to know Rex for a number of years. Jeannie and Rex have been very significant people in the community. They have a heart to serve people, and he's just a visionary. And he was certainly a visionary in business, but he is in the community as well. And this is all a culmination. I was here years ago when this was an idea, and it's certainly so much more than an idea right now. How wonderful is this place? Let's express our appreciation for that. So we hope you enjoyed your dinner. Again, we've got some fun ahead. We're going to give you a chance. I'm going to ask some questions in a little while of both Mike and Rex, but I want you all to start thinking of some questions that you may have for them as well as we go on. Again, very excited to be a part of this evening. Look forward to being a part of the Strategy Across the Board Gala. If you don't know about that, that's January 7th. So a plug for that is going to be at the Chase Park Plaza. We're going to be saluting Mike Matheny again that night. Medal of Honor recipient and American hero Edward Byers Jr. will be there on the 7th of January as well. And we're also going to have the United States Gold Medal Olympiad team, which we've also already talked about tonight. So that's going to be a special night. And again, that is the 7th of January. We're fortunate tonight to have two members of that team, and they've been introduced already, but I'm going to do it again. The two grandmasters, Fabiano Caruana is here, and certainly a terrific chess player, and Wesley So, a part of that. And it's again a wonderful evening tonight, a wonderful celebration. If you're interested in tickets to that event, you can see anybody from the club here at the Hall of Fame, and they'll certainly get you connected there. Before we get started with the chess and with the questions, we have a special presentation to make tonight. So I'm going to call Tony Rich back up again. He's the executive director, as you know, of the Chess Club, and he has a very special presentation. Tony?
Thank you, Rick. Let me start off with a story. I want to tell you about it when I first started playing chess way back in 1995, 1996. St. Louis was not exactly known as a chess city. We had a very committed group of volunteers who ran chess clubs and who ran chess tournaments and who really tried to get the game of chess going in St. Louis, and it was kind of bumping along. I remember whenever I first played in high school and played in my first tournaments, and then learned about adult chess clubs that I could actually travel to. Well, one of the chess clubs, or the areas where chess players gathered, was in the Loop. We were at the St. Louis Bread Company right there on Delmar Boulevard, for those of you familiar with it. And I remember a particular chess player. His name's Adonis Reddick, and Adonis was quite possibly the best known chess player there in the Loop. And it was because of his infectious smile, his positive attitude, his commitment to optimism, that he became loved amongst the chess community. Adonis became a member of the chess club in Scholastic Center of St. Louis when we opened, or shortly thereafter. So I've known Adonis for probably the past 10 or 15 years. And it's sad that St. Louis saw the passing of Adonis this year. We're joined by his family and some of his supportive community today, so I want to thank you all for being here with us. But yeah, I remember Adonis from all of those happy times. I remember actually the first game that he and I played together. And Adonis would make his move, and I was a young kid, and I thought I was all that, right? I thought I was really good at chess, and I'd make my move. And then he'd make his move, and I'd make my move, and he'd smile at me. And I'd think, why are you smiling at me? Come on, we're fighting, right? This is competition. And he kept smiling at me, and he kept smiling, and he's beating me, and he's smiling, and I'm like, oh, God, what am I going to do? And he made a mistake in the game, and I ended up winning, and I apologized to him after the game, and he said, don't apologize, play again. And so Adonis and I were able to play a lot of games of chess together, and I have some very happy memories because of that. There are some people and some organizations that I'd like to mention and make sure I get right. So Adonis was the founder of the Association of the Spanish Lake Advocates, an organization promoting disability rights, a member of the leadership team for the Coalition for Truth and Independence, and a member of the St. Louis ARC's Social Justice and Human Rights Committee. St. Louis ARC's mission is to empower people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families to lead better lives by providing a lifetime of high-quality services, family support, and advocacy. In 2015, Adonis won the Catalyst Awards Self-Advocate of the Year. We'd like to recognize two people from St. Louis ARC who are here with us as well, Sharon Spurlock, as well as Stephanie Scott. Thank you so much for being here. And at this time, I would also like, where's Rex? Hi, Rex. Could you come up and join me? They say picture your audience in their underwear, and so I just kind of glanced over that part of the room. Thank you. And also, if we can have Adonis's family, we have Achilles, Aaron, Danielle, Ariane, and Jamie here. If you could also join us up here, please. Well, we also have Mike Matheny here, so we probably should invite him up to the stage, right? Get pictures with him too, right? Absolutely. The Chess Club and Scholastic Center of St. Louis and the World Chess Hall of Fame are proud to present the board here that we have to Adonis's family in his memory. The St. Louis chess community is just that, and Adonis was part of our family. His loss will definitely be missed, and your pain is shared amongst many. Thank you very much.
What a wonderful moment that was. It's a great demonstration of how important community is, and that's part of what the Chess Club is all about. And you're hearing earlier about the hundreds plus schools where people are learning to connect with each other through the game of chess and be challenged to think. It's just extraordinary. So again, what a wonderful moment. Glad you all are here, and glad to have been a part of that. We're going to have our question and answer moment here soon, but we thought it would be fun to watch a little chess, right? I mean, would that be fun? So we've. I know Rex was trying to do some trading and negotiating, but I'm gonna stick with who I think the lineups are, and we'll let them fight it out if it's going to be something different. But my understanding is that we're going to have a 10-minute exhibition of chess, and we'll have a little commentary about it as well, which we'll get to in a minute. But let me introduce our participants in it. And, we're not just having anybody do this. We're going all out. So the first player is a new resident of St. Louis and happens to be the number 2 player in the world. And, 7 billion people in the world. And the number 2 player in the world is right here. And he is the defending United States champion, Grandmaster Fabiano Cariuno. Fabiano? Our second player is a former Webster University student, and he is the number 5 ranked player in the world. Did I mention there's 7 billion people in the world? And he's the current leader on the Grand Chess Tour, Grandmaster Wesley So. Wesley? Now we have kind of some teammates, some backup guys for them, as if they 2 and 5 need backups. They're actually going to be advising a couple of other folks that we're going to have a part of this 10-minute exhibition, and let me introduce them to you now. One is one of the most, if you like baseball, not everybody does, kind of a St. Louis rule, but most people understand the importance of the Cardinals in the community, so this man is one of the most recognizable men in St. Louis. And certainly the baseball background is important. He spent some time after being a player for the Cardinals, working with youth baseball, and that was a passion for him. In 2012, he was named the St. Louis Cardinals manager. And not only was he named the manager then, but he became a winner right away. That's who he is. He's a leader. He's a winner. His first 4 years as a manager for the St. Louis Cardinals, every single year the Cardinals went to the playoffs. No manager in the history of baseball has ever done that. So we got the chess guys, but we got a baseball guy here too. And the only guy that's ever done that is Mike Matheny. He just recently signed a 3-year extension. We're excited about that. And I know he's having fun here talking chess tonight, but he's also thinking about how he can bring us our 12th World Championship to St. Louis in 2017. Mike Matheny. So pairing with Fabiano, this man doesn't really need an introduction in this room, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know some of his history on the finance side, creating the Standard & Poor's first ever index fund. Nobody knew how to do that. He did it, and became one of the United States and really the world's leading financial gurus. After his retirement, Rex and Jeannie have moved back to their home in St. Louis and have been involved, as I mentioned, in many philanthropic endeavors. He loves chess, clearly. If you talk to him, you know he loves chess. He's also a Cardinal fan, which so he's 2 for 2 in my mind. He has helped grow the sport of chess in great ways, and he has earned the St. Louis the designation, as we know in this room, as the chess capital of the United States. And this guy is one of the reasons behind that. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Singfield. So it looks a little intense already. I think they're really going to go after each other. I can feel the tension. You may not feel it there, but I feel it up here. And now I'm used to doing play-by-play of baseball. I can do that, but I can't do this. So I'm going to need some help. Now I may throw in some color every once in a while, but I think this chess match that we're going to see over the next 10 minutes is going to need somebody that really can provide some great play-by-play. So I'm not going to fool around with that. but I am going to get some help from the new St. Louis University chess coach. I've had a chance to visit with him here at dinner, and he's going to be your play-by-play guy. Please welcome the Grandmaster, Alejandro Ramirez.
Well, hello, everybody. As mentioned, I am the new coach of St. Louis University. We're very excited to have this program, thanks to Rex Singfield and especially St. Louis University, who has really pulled through in this amazing venture. It's our first year, and we're very excited. But okay, let's get into the chess. I'm going to explain a little bit about the rules. This is a tandem chess game, which means 2 versus 2. We have 2 of the best chess players in the world, and I'm not talking about Rex and Mike. Each team gets 5 minutes per game, so if their clock runs out, they immediately lose. It probably will end before that. The rules are simple. Every team gets to make a move, simply white and black, but they get to alternate which person makes the move between rounds. Now, they cannot talk to each other, so if, for example, the Grandmaster has envisioned a brilliant 30-move combination, well, it's up to their partners to keep up. This has produced some of the most exciting and random chess games that we have seen in the past few years. Now, we do have defending champions here, Fabi and Rex, so we'll see if they can be toppled by Mike and his new partner, Wesley So. I believe that you draw for colors, yes.
All right, so Rex, since you're probably the worst chess player in Burlington, it's really dangerous because he also signs my page.
Did you know there was that much trash talking in chess, Mike? No. Sounds like a clubhouse, doesn't it?
White. So Rex's team will start with the white pieces.
Rex chooses white. Smart man.
Now, white is considered to be a small advantage at the Super Grandmaster level. At this level, it's a whitewash.
So gentlemen, you're playing with a time control of 5 minutes apiece. That means that each side has 5 minutes to complete all of their moves for the entire game. They can budget their time as they see fit. If they spend 3 minutes on one move, they only have 2 minutes for the rest of the game, right? So Rex, don't play so slowly. Good luck.
If I tell a 5-minute story,
Rex's time is running.
We would love a cardinal story.
I think we're ready.
Good luck, gentlemen. You may begin.
White goes first. E4, a very standard idea here. Knight C6, trying to get the opponent's side with theory. Oh, Wesley playing so fast. Wow. Whoa! Too excited there.
my partner told me to play fast.
Do you have challenge flags in this game?
Well, it seems that black has chosen a very aggressive setup. Rex Singfield deciding he's not going to take any of that. I like this move F3. Like Matheny, whoa, A5. Leaving that knight on E4 hanging. I think Wesley's not that happy with his partner right now, but nothing major so far.
A knight's a knight.
Ooh, G5. Wesley, what's your reaction to that?
Well, it's just a game.
Very gracious.
No, but it's okay. They still have a chance. It's Rex to move.
It's good night time.
Ooh, knight F3. I like that move. Rex playing like a super grandmaster so far. 2 GMs against only 1.
So Rick, in chess, there's a lot of psyching out that happens. Players will make a move and then instantly look up at their opponent to see what the reaction is.
So if they get mad, do they ever brawl? I mean, is it like in baseball? They do like a yeah, good. Under the table? Is that how that happens?
They just throw pawns at each other until somebody gets up.
Ooh, Queen D5. We see Wesley So one of the trickiest players in the circuit. Well, a deep think here. It's a very important decision.
Does drinking help?
Ooh, he's going for the queen. He's going for the queen. Ooh, an aggressive move. Yeah, that seems about all I can say that's nice. It's a great move, says Fabiano Caruana, second strongest player in the world.
7 billion people.
He's stronger than me, so I'll believe him. And that is a check, ladies and gentlemen. That king on e8 is in danger. Black is against the wall, but it's not over yet. Plenty of resources left. Wesley taking a strange amount of time for a move that seemed completely forced. I like Rex's conviction. He plays very fast, very strong. It's like he has practice.
Who has a better position, Alejandro?
I think that white is completely winning, but it's not over yet.
Little known fact, 7 billion people on the planet. Mike Matheny is one of the best 5 billion.
King takes
I'll
the
tell you
7.
later.
Fabiano Caruana is playing this like it's the world championship on the line, playing every move the best. Unbelievable.
This is the slowest clock in history.
Well, considering they're down on time, I'm sure they're glad it's the slowest clock in history. Oh. And there goes Black's queen. That is a big asset off the board. Black is barely holding on, hoping for a miracle. Fabiano going in for the kill. Let's see if his partner finds it. Finds what? Wesley saw some. Wow, trying to distract from the actual dangers of his position. And there we go. The rook goes as well. Almost the best move. There's only one move that was better. It's okay. Rex sees his problems, but it doesn't matter anymore. I think the material count is too much.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. And that is checkmate on the boards, ladies and gentlemen. Fabiano Caruana,
Very
merciless
nice.
as usual.
Very nice. Well, outstanding. Let's hear it for Alejandro and our participants here. Terrific job. That was so much fun to watch. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask Rex and Mike to stay up here and just grab a seat if you would. And Alejandro, if I can have that microphone as well, I'm going to give that to Mike. These two men are very important to our city in terms of their positions and the leadership that they show for our city. And, you know, I love the city of St. Louis, and I've got a heavy dose today of understanding that we are the chess capital of the United States, and I know that for a fact now. But we also have wonderful people in leadership in our community, and these two guys are part of that. And I just want to ask them some questions. If you guys have questions, I'll give you a chance as we go along to throw some of your questions out as well. But I want to start with Mike, and I want to start with a baseball question if I can, Mike. I mean, you've had, I mentioned 4 seasons of going to the playoffs. This year came very close. Status of the Cardinals, how you feel about the upcoming season after having a little chance to debrief with the season ending.
I'd say the status of the Cardinals is we're always going to be in the mix, and there's work to be done. And this year it's amazing. We went down after 30-some games in spring training, then 162. It came down to about 30 minutes left on game number 162 to find out if we were going to go to the postseason. And that's a great accomplishment, but we just didn't feel like that was the level of play that we should have. And I think there's a level of expectation in this city because we've had such a great run in the history of this organization, and the demands that we put on ourselves, I think, mirror that of the demands of our fan base. So with that being said, I think there's a style of play that didn't look anything like what we just saw here. But there's a style of play that our fans expect of us, and even a higher level of execution that we demand of ourselves that we just didn't see. Now, there's lots of excuses, is what I'll say, and we don't like using any of them. The reality is the fact we had a lot of young players. With young players come mistakes. And at one point, we looked out on the field, and we had 5 of the 9 players on the field had either been in AA or AAA that season. Playing at the highest level against some of the best in the world, like these guys we have here, you make mistakes, you're going to pay. And that's exactly what we had happen, because young players are going to make those mistakes. So we believe our young players are improving. We believe we have a great nucleus. But we have to get better. We have some things that we have to do as an organization, some investment we have to make in outside players. But we also have to set a level of competition from the guys that we have that's going to look a little different than what we saw this last year.
I have a number of questions I want to get into about chess and baseball and the overflow between these two, and even the sports and how they might be different, how they might be similar. But I just want to get some introductory things first about Rex and your business career. Obviously, and that's given you the opportunity to be, you and Jeannie, as philanthropic as you've been. And did you imagine that? I guess when you figured out that the index fund was the important thing and a necessary thing to have, did you in your wildest dreams imagine that you would have the kind of and Mike's talking about excellence here, but you had excellence in business. Did you imagine that you would reach that level of business?
No, I did not envision in 1973, when I was lucky enough to start the first several index funds of different types in the galaxy. I didn't imagine a Dimensional Fund Advisors would start it 8 years later. And when we started Dimensional Fund Advisors, I remember my partner and I sitting one day and thinking, and it was really tough. We almost got wiped out. He said, if someday we're making $75,000, $100,000 a year, that would be really successful. And, well, we did a little better than that, quite honestly. But when I started the index fund and was going around the country, like on a Chautauqua circuit, debating this, I love these debates all the time, was debating the idea that markets work. After about 6 months, I realized that it would probably be impossible for me to ever do anything this important again. And I don't think I can, unless the only thing that might match it is if we're successful in getting rid of the Missouri income tax, the St. Louis earnings tax, and getting entire school choice. And then after that, there's only one thing left. I want Mike to put me in as a pinch runner.
Well, there would be some. You might be able to do it. I don't know. Can he run on your team? What would you my team? I wanted you to say that. I didn't want to say it. But so your love. Let me ask you about your love for baseball too, Rex. Obviously, you've been connected to the Cardinals too, and not only great business background and career, but and before we get to the chess, baseball.
I have the story that typifies it, and then Dick Zitzman has a story. And I know, because Joy Bray, as reverent as she is, she's going to bring up a topic, and she's going to make me tell you the story about one of the youngest rising stars in chess, only 6 years old. Won't you, Joy? Yes. See? So it's in 1958. I'm being raised in St. Vincent's Orphanage, and it's in May of '58. And the Cardinals are going to Chicago. And I go up to my 8th grade teacher, Sister Herman Joseph, who we all worshiped, and I said, Sister, tomorrow afternoon, we can't have class. And she looks at me kind of quizzically, said, what? I said, we can't have class tomorrow. I said, tomorrow the Cardinals are going to Chicago, and Stan Musial has 2,999 hits. This is so important. This is one of the most important events in the history of mankind. And even though they're not going to put him in the lineup, they might have to use him as a pinch hitter. We should spend the afternoon listening to the radio, because we'll never have a chance to listen to something this important again. And what's really amazing is that's exactly what she did. And that's exactly what happened that day.
And he did.
And he did. And when I told Stan that story, you know what Stan's like. He's never, oh, that's great. He goes, yeah, what hit did I get? I said, you got a double to left field.
Exactly. So you were a visionary even back then, in leading and influencing. You've had a chance, and I want to ask you one specific baseball question about the baseball leaders like Mike that you've had a chance to know. You know Whitey Herzog, you're good friends with him, and Tony La Russa, and now Mike. What do you see in these guys who lead baseball teams that are similar? What are some of the characteristics of these guys that make them as great as they are at leading their team?
Well, first of all, they're all gifted with an awful lot of intelligence. I mean, just because you couldn't tell that tonight from the chess game. That just means God was out for a smoke, She had to take a break, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's a very difficult question to answer, because in the last several decades, we've had 4 great managers in St. Louis: Red Shandies, Whitey Herzog, Tony La Russa, and now Mike. And I've been fortunate to know all of them quite well. And they're all very smart, but they express themselves and they're smart in so many different ways. I think leadership, part of it is going to be inspiration. And in that regard, I think probably Mike Matheny is better than all of them. I did have occasion to see Tony mix with the troops on occasion when I used to take him to dinner in Chicago. When the Cardinals would go to Chicago, I'd always arrange for him to have dinner with one of my finance professors, Gene Fama, who 2 years ago received the Nobel Prize in Economics. And Tony and Mike Shannon went along. And side story is, Gene tells him about the golf club he belongs to, south of Chicago. And so they said, that's great, we'll come down and play with you sometime. And so a year later I saw him, and he says, hey, he says, you know what those 2 guys did, those bastards? I said, what? He said, they went to my country club and didn't even invite me.
Well, Mike, one of those long line of great, and I'm glad you mentioned Red too. What, 94 is Red? 94, 95, just sharp guy, wonderful guy. And Mike is now having to fill the shoes of guys that have been successful before you. When you first got that call, Mike, to be the manager, I assume you realized that you were walking into, you know, you weren't following people who failed and you were going to look good no matter what you did. Yeah. You were going to have a bar that was set pretty high. I'm sure that came across your mind as you accepted that job.
Well, I think the first thing that came across my mind was probably the similar thoughts that went through all Cardinal fans is, what are they thinking? No, I was so overwhelmed because it was so unorthodox. The opportunity with the little experience that I've had, it just didn't seem plausible. But just so fortunate to be able to walk into a great situation, and fortunate to have spent time with Red, to spend a lot of time with Tony and even Joe Torre, and to be able to watch what it looked like. I played in 2 organizations with Milwaukee and Toronto before I got here, and then I showed up to a culture and realized how important it is to be part of something that believes in something bigger than just itself, and this idea of excellence, and this idea of this system with the fans. And for all of you that have heard that before, that is different here, I'm going to tell you it's different here. And it's not just this company line, it's different. And the first day I walked into spring training, I'd already been a resident here. I married a St. Louis girl, and I tend to say that when you marry a St. Louis girl, you have no option on where you spend the rest of your life. And so I've lived here for almost 25 years now, and before I played here, but I showed up as a player, and it was so contagious that you could see that there was this affinity, there's this passion with the fans and the players, and everybody seeing the history. When you watch a Red and you watch a Stan walk through, and it's a special environment in the baseball world. And to be able to be given this position still kind of blows me away. And it's a great spot to be, and it's something that I realize it's a trust. It's a trust to not just go out and win baseball games, but it's a trust to try and keep up with what it should look like to be part of the St. Louis Cardinals as an organization, and to make sure that our guys are continuing to put out a product that we can all be proud of.
And let's be clear here. Red Shandies, aside from being a great manager and a lovable fellow, is going to single-handedly bankrupt the Social Security system.
You're probably right. He's going to do that. Good point.
I'm going to break it up so you don't have to ask a question here. I need to apologize to Wesley. So I don't know if you've ever been set up before, Wesley, but you've been set up today. When you walked into this deal, the hand was pretty much stacked against you. I love the game of chess, and I was having fun talking with the first table. The reason that I got involved with chess was actually because I had multiple concussions that actually ended my career, and it spooked me. And they went back through my history and thought that I had somewhere close to 30 of them, and then they started talking about how the long-term effects could kind of line up with people who've had concussions. So I started studying and researching, and one of the studies I came across said there's a few things that you can do to help your chances to kind of rebuild the brain and rewire some of the things that have gone wrong through concussion, and one of those was playing chess. So I instantly went out and started reading how to play chess. And that is something that kind of drew Rex and I together. I'm going to surprise all of you and tell you that I'm not a great chess player. But I actually play often, but I don't play games, and Rex gets mad at me all the time. He's always wanting me to go. I truly think that this man is probably a closet Cub fan. I have never seen anybody that wants to see me lose so much, ever. But he's always wanting to play online. He wants to. I found out yesterday we were doing this deal, that we're playing up front, and I knew that's Rex. He wants to beat me in front of a bunch of people, and so. But the game is so. It's obviously there's so many things, and I love all the information that Tony gave about how kids are developing academically and just socially and in their self-confidence. There's so many great things that I've had my kids playing. The way I do it, at the end of the day, I'll go through and I'll set up a board and I'll just do a few tactics and look at the board. And I was so prepared to be better this year. And then Wesley says that the key is to go fast. Right? You were a bad coach today, Wesley. Bad players can't play fast.
So wait a minute. Wes, you understand Mike has apologized to you and insulted you.
All at the same time. Remember the compliment, though. But anyway, it's a great game. It's a great game, and I see how it does work with every area of life. But for me, it was more of a health issue. And I continue to see and have doors open, and we'll go over and watch kids. Like I'm sure Joey's going to tell the story. Some of these kids that just whip us up and down so fast, and you see how talented they are. And then to watch Fabio and Wesley and what they're doing on the world circuit, it's amazing to watch. And we're very fortunate to have such a high caliber here.
And your team has gotten involved. You started with your interest, but it's become something that's gone throughout the Cardinals team, and most people here probably don't know about that. But what's kind of the standard operating procedure in your clubhouse as far as chess?
So through the friendships with Mark and Joy and obviously Rex and Dr. Jeannie, we were able to kind of institute an option for the guys inside the clubhouse. They spend such long days there, and usually if we don't give them better options, they're going to be like most kids, and they're going to be sitting in their locker, and they have an iPad or an iPhone, and they're doing their own thing, and it's really I think it's an epidemic in our culture right now, where people are not socializing like they should, and the chess club was very, very generous in giving us just a beautiful, thanks to the work done by our friend in the back, Nate Cohen and his family, were able to put a beautiful table together to put in our clubhouse. And it was getting overrun with players, to the fact where we had to get another one. So Nate, thank you for that as well. But every single day, whenever we aren't on the field, there is usually not just two guys, but we have hecklers, like we had in here. Yeah, and
Who's the best player?
I'd say the best player. I used to think it was our Cuban players. We had two Cuban players, the first time we've had two. And it was interesting listening to them talk about in the streets in Cuba, just lined up down the streets, people either playing dominoes or they're playing chess. And he said it's just kind of a way of life, and it just took them back to some fun times in their life. But they were whipping up on our guys. But we had quite a few guys come on strong late. A guy named Jed Jerko, who some of you may remember. He's a hillbilly like myself, but he's actually a very good chess player. Seth Manus had never played the game. Very smart kid, jumped in, and pretty soon not many people were beating him. But I don't know of many guys who didn't get sucked into it. At some point, they were sitting at that table, which was fun because, once again, the guys were talking shop. And you remember when we played, that's what we had. We didn't have video games. We didn't have the game of the week up on TV. You're talking shop. You're sometimes, you're talking smack and living life, but you're also just kind of having fun together, which makes it a great atmosphere to come to the ballpark for. And I believe that chess had helped our environment last year.
Can I ask a question of the audience? How many of you, for a charity event, would like to see and would come to a tournament where it's just played among Cardinal players playing each other? Everybody. Great.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
I rest my case.
So Rex, let me ask just kind of the short answer of what drives your love for chess. What is it about the game that has made it such a passion for you? What's your
Well, what's
your heart for the game?
I've always been interested in learning new things. In the case of chess, I have so much to learn that I could live to be 1,000 and I would not become a grandmaster. But it's the beauty of it is just incredible. There's a mathematical beauty to positions that occur on the chessboard, and you see them all the time. And you hear the grandmasters, a commentator, saying, "Look at this! Isn't that an amazingly beautiful mate?" And it's simply addictive. It really is. So if you don't play it, you're not sure you want to, I'm going to warn you, you will get addicted if you start. But it's a healthy addiction.
We actually had guys on the team that had to give themselves a curfew because they were going home at night and getting online, and they said they were staying up too late playing chess. And I thought, that's great news for a manager because I'm used to those 5 o'clock in the morning calls, and they're not playing chess. So are we on time constraint here? Okay, because I was sitting there thinking I was so happy that we were able to have Alejandro and we didn't have Maurice this year. Maurice, as one of the commentators, we started this deal out last year, and somewhere in his direction I hear, "Hey, Matheny, you suck." And so I got to tell one of my favorite stories. Please do. So, talking about our Cub fans. So, there's this, I didn't realize it until I got here. There is a true hatred with the Cardinal Cub thing. I mean, I played there when I was a different team, and I got over here as a player, and I realized that they really, as much as we dislike them around here, they hate us up there. Hate us. So one of the first times I ever went in a Cardinal uniform, I'd kind of heard about, this buzz in between and this rivalry. So I decided to go out in batting practice. And I'd take my practice jersey off to where you could actually see, some guys wear like sweatshirts when we're warming up. I took mine off so they could see my name, and I said, I'm going to go out there and just see if they got any good stuff for me. So I go out in an area where I could see is kind of vacant, so that probably somebody good in the outfield ribbing the pitchers pretty hard who were out there shagging in batting practice. So I'm standing out there, and sure enough, this guy starts laying into me. Well, I think it's me because he keeps saying, "Hey, Matheny." Which that's a pretty good indication of what kind of career you've had. He says, "Hey, Matheny, you suck." And, and I've heard it. I heard it from Maurice in this event. I've heard it in every city all across the country. And so he starts going a little further. He starts getting a little cruder, and I realize that, this is a day game, and I realize this guy's about 15 beers into his breakfast. And so then I'm like, you know what? I'm out of this. The guy's starting to call my mother stuff, and so I'm getting ready to leave. And then he says something I'll never forget. He says, "Hey, Matheny, you even suck on my video game." And I was like, that's creative, That's actually good. And so I tipped my hat to him. I said, that's actually pretty good. And so the pitchers are over there, they're laughing, and so it's the last game of a road trip. I go back home, and I actually have dinner with my family, which is a rare occasion, and my kids were all small at the time. And I'm sitting down, I'm like, "Oh, you guys are going to like this." I said, so I'm standing in the outfield, and I went through the story, and I told them what this guy said, and that I even sucked on the video game. And I looked at my oldest son, who's now married and playing professional ball himself, and he had this look on his face. And I started thinking, you know what? He's probably not used to grown people saying stuff like that to other grown people. It makes no sense, right? I mean, where does that work in real life? And I was thinking, oh, man, I probably should have prepped him on this. I said, "Listen, bud," I go, "it's not that big a deal. We get that all the time. People are just, it's kind of their way of having fun, and, it's not that big of a deal." And he goes, No, I've heard all that before. He goes, "I was just trying to figure out, I want so bad to use you, but you suck on my video game too." Stinking Cub fan. Yeah, I got a lot of love lost for them too, I'll tell you that, right?
I guess baseball, chess, you have to have confidence, but you also have to have thick skin. Because sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. You have to learn how to be confident, and it's a wonderful story. I have two quick questions, and then I'm going to ask you all to ask some questions of these guys. I want to ask you, Mike, quickly about, you hear managers talk about a game being like a chess match. I mean, that's a common analogy. People, it's like you've got decisions to make in the 4th and the 5th and the 7th, and they're interrelated. And, you know, if you're a novice baseball fan, you come to the game, and there are 9 guys out there throwing, hitting, and catching. But there are, you know, the game of baseball is deep, and it has a lot of places it can twist and turn. Do you see that chess helps you or aids you as a manager? Do you see any interrelation between that level of thinking down the road that chess obviously
Well, I think they're very similar in the fact that as you watch your opponent, unless you're doing that blitz stuff I watched these guys do earlier, which you don't have time to think about anything. But as you watch, and really one of the joys that I have is working with a very talented staff, and we go to all the what ifs. So I believe in reality we almost manage 20 games a night, because we will get to a crucial point in the game and say, if they do this, we're going to have to be prepared to do that. And if they do that, then we're probably going to do this and then that. And the same thing happens as you're preparing for chess. But you know, there's human error so much into the game that we play, but it is managing multiple games at a time, and it's crisis management and being able to try and make a good decision when the pressure gets turned on. And that is very similar to this game, but it's certainly a game of defense. It's a game of strategy, and it's a game of when you got to put your foot on their throat and when you got to put them away.
and you just led to my last question. And again, be ready to raise your hand here. Defense, offense. You know, baseball is a game of defense. I mean, you got to have them both. And if I were to ask you which is more important in baseball, I'm not sure you can. What would you say to that? And do you believe that it's more about defense or more about offense, or how do those two intersect? And then I want to ask Rex to talk about chess in that same light. Are you being offensive all the time? Or are you being defensive, and how do those two things?
Yeah, I think everybody would always agree the best defense is a great offense. And so the more pressure we can put on, I think that's what I see in the game. What little I know about it is when you can keep the pressure on, you're in a great spot. So, but it's a balance in our sport. And the third component is really its own entity, and you know this as a pitcher. Pitching is its own entity, and I believe we build around that, and it is a defensive position, and everything we do defensively aids that position, but that's the most crucial part for our chances to win every single night. But if our offense can put the pressure on and make them catch up all the time, there's no doubt that that's the trump. But I know in chess, when I play very, very bad players and I can just keep them running the whole time, and I got them up against the wall, that's a better spot than constantly feeling like you got to have a guard up.
It's a great answer, and what I heard there, and I will remember, is that he said that pitchers are the most important people on the planet. That's kind of how I heard it, and I'm going to stick with that. So how about defense, offense for you, Rex, as you think about chess?
Well, you have to really work at both. You know, when I started taking lessons about 2 or 3 years ago from Jennifer Shahade, who many of you know, she was twice U.S. Women's Champion, has written 2 books. The last one, Play Like a Girl. The first one called Chess Bitch. And I tell her sometimes during our lessons, I said, Jennifer, your book was aptly named. You know? The lessons they're very challenging. The single most stressful hour I have every week is my piano lesson, followed by my chess lesson. And what she told me a couple years ago, I'd only been taking lessons a few weeks, she said, do you know what kind of player you are? I said, yeah, not very good. She said, no, I mean in terms of style. I said, no. She said, you're an extraordinarily aggressive player. I said, I had no idea about that. And she said, so we're going to choose openings, lines of play that are suited to aggressive play. She's totally changed my repertoire. And at least I know now how the pointy-headed guys move. You know?
That's terrific. That's outstanding. I just love this the interaction here, and enjoyed talking to the grandmasters during dinner. And we want to give you a chance to ask a couple of questions, and then I'll have Rex close out our night. But what are some things that you're thinking about that you'd like to ask Mike or Rex? Give you a chance to do that now. Yes.
Rex, how can I become a millionaire?
Start with $2 million.
Sound advice. Any questions? Yes.
Mike and Rex, I know some of who your idols were growing up, one being Bobby Fischer, but Mike, who, when you were growing up, starting to play baseball, who did you really look up to? And want to be like?
You know what? My parents didn't allow us. First of all, we didn't have many channels to watch television, and that was a blessing. And in fact, they kicked us outside, and whether it was snowy, we had to go find something to do outside. And I thought that was great parenting. Not that they were trying to get rid of us; they were very engaged parents, but they knew the power of play. And so, as I got a little older, I was able to follow some sports figures, and I was just an athlete. We were having the conversation earlier, kind of what direction, and did I have to find out that I was going to be an athlete early? As I know, maybe Magnus Carlsen saying now you got to be into the game by 5 to have a chance to be a grandmaster. That's amazing, because I don't think the same thing can be said about sports. I think what we're finding out of the kids that get to the highest level are the ones who are very well-rounded athletically. And so I was constantly playing different sports. Late in my career, or as I got older, I started being drawn towards, as a catcher, much like how Yadier Molina is thought of. Where I grew up, it was Johnny Bench. And Johnny Bench, I wore a number 5 to be like Johnny Bench. I later found out about a guy named Dale Murphy, only because we did get cable TV and we could pick up the Braves, and that was it. And the thing that stood out to me about Dale Murphy was how people talked about him and how he was involved in the community and the kind of person and teammate that he was. And I don't know why that jumped out to me, but it made a permanent mark in my mind that that is success. To be a high-level achiever, but also leave an impact on people. And that people see that you're doing something to make the world a better place. And so both of those impacted me deeply to the point of trying to direct how I went about my business.
Anybody else? Yes.
The Cubs won the series. How do you feel?
Are you sure about that?
How do you feel? That's my question. I have to ask.
What are you doing with this video? Yeah, dang. You from Chicago? You and Rex in cahoots? I get this a lot this winter. And we had it tonight. And I was asked, and don't you feel good for the Cubs? It's been however many 100 years. And don't you just at least feel happy, and it's good for the game and this and that? And so I try to put together, as I like to say it, the best Christian answer I can have. And I look at them and I give them the truth, and it is, are you out of your mind? I honestly can't stand to watch them win one game. I'm talking one game all year, let alone the World Series. So I don't know how to make it any clearer. Remember that story I gave you earlier? That's a true story. And there's this. You can't be a part of Cardinal Nation and not just despise what they do. And the joy that I have is that's part of my job description. So that's kind of what I'm paid to do. And I love competing against them. And I can't tell you how excited I am that we get to face them on opening day. And I know that's finally at home here too. It's been a lot of years since we've had a home opener. And we're going to be able to have the Cubs in town, and hopefully with a lot of excitement from not just our team, but also from our fans.
April 2nd, I believe, is the date, Sunday night. So put that on your calendar. Don't forget the 7th of January as well, as we mentioned earlier. I have time for one more question before I close it out.
I have to tell a story, otherwise Joy will tell you. Okay, about 7 months ago, I'm over here at the Hall of Fame office, and Joy calls me up from the chess club. She says, Rex, there's a young lady here who would like to meet you. Her brother's in the junior Rising Stars. Is that what the program is called? Rising Stars, being taught by, he's 16. And Roof Angley, is that his? Yeah, he's from Dallas. And it's his little sister. I said, okay, I'll be right over. So I walk in. He says, Rachel, this is Mr. Singfield. Rex, this is Rachel Lee. She's 5.5. She would like to play chess. I go, okay. So we sit down and we start playing, and it's kind of fast. It's not literally using clocks, but it's going at the pace of the game we play here tonight. And I start off with my favorite opening as white, and I quickly realize, in response, she's using my favorite opening as black. And she's playing it as well as I've ever played it. So I proceed to lose that game. We turn the pieces around, And then she starts off with my favorite opening as white, and I play my favorite defense, and I lose that one. Okay, so I'm 0-2. So 6 months go by, and I'm over here in the office again, and she calls me. She says, Rex, guess who's over here and would love to play you in chess? And I just moan. I go, all right, I'm coming over. So I walk over, and Rachel is playing the limo driver, Dick, who you said hello to. He's playing her, and she's trash talking the whole time. You know, I mean, trash talking is obligatory. And now, if there's any children in the room, please leave, because I'm going to tell you the story as it really happened. So he gets up and walks over. I said, how'd you do? He says, oh, she crushed me. Rachel, by the way, is the strongest 6-year-old player in the United States and possibly in the world. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the conversation up here with you. Certainly, again, want to thank everybody who's made this possible. Your contribution, such a big deal, and again, remind you of the 7th of January. If you don't know, there's a gift waiting for you downstairs. We want to make sure you stop by and get that on the way out. I mean, it's been a joy for me to be here tonight to meet all of you and to be with these guys. Again, one more thank you from Mike and I, but Rex, I want to give you the floor for the last word here tonight. You know, you were obviously the vision behind so much of what's happened to chess in St. Louis. So
thank you.
I'll give you the send-off.
I want to thank all of you for contributing and being here. And it's very important that we get tremendous community involvement. The more people you can bring in, the better it is for chess. And we know our outreach to children is way beyond what any of us ever thought it would be at this time. And Wesley, I don't know how to tell you this, but because, you know, things didn't go well tonight, you're leading off in spring training.